Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Give to Gain, the Pop-Up Care Shop's Women's History Month panel. My name is Kaidi Williams, and I am the co-founder of the Pop-Up Care Shop. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight as we celebrate Women's History Month and gather in community for this powerful conversation. At the Pop-Up Care Shop, our mission is to redeem those in need with dignity, enjoyment, and most of all, choice. We collect clothing and toiletries via community donations, sponsorships, and partnerships. Then we take those items to set up shop to create a fun and free shopping experience for those in need. Our unique method rejects the standard of drop-off donations and brings the goods to people directly and with style. That spirit is perfectly reflected in this year's International Women's Day theme, Give to Gain. Give to Gain reminds us that generosity is not a loss. It's actually an investment. When we give our time, our knowledge, our mentorship, our resources, or even just our encouragement, we help create pathways for others. And in doing so, we strengthen the very ecosystems that allow women to lead, build, and thrive. I am so excited about tonight's conversation. It's about courage, it's about the courage that it takes to build something meaningful, the resilience required to lead through challenges, and the importance of women lifting one another along the way. We are incredibly fortunate to be joined by four inspiring women who are doing impactful work in their local communities. Each of them embodies what it means to give back while creating opportunity and transformation in the world. Over the next hour, we'll hear stories, we'll hear their lessons and their reflections on what it means to lead with purpose and create spaces and opportunities that help others thrive. We hope this conversation leaves you feeling inspired, energized, and reminded that when women thrive, we can all rise. Thank you again for being here, and thank you for supporting the Pop-Up Care Shop and all of the organizations our panelists represent, which you will hear all about tonight. Now, let's get into this tonight's conversation. I want to introduce you to our moderator, my co-founder, Kadia Blagrove. Kadia is the co-founder of the Pop-Up Care Shop and a Bronx-based writer and creative strategist committed to community-centered impact. With a background in mentorship and grassroots service, she is a strong advocate for the empowerment and safety of homeless individuals, women, and children. Prior to launching the Pop-Up Care Shop, she partnered with the Bronx Museum to host a winter clothing drive benefiting the Bowery Mission. Welcome, Kadia.
Thank you so much, Kaidi. I'm very excited to be here. This is our first ever panel. I'm very excited for this. I'm going to allow our panelists to introduce themselves. I will call them out each one. We will start with Johanna Edmondson, the Female Fight Club, and she's a brilliant Bronx leader. Joanna, please introduce yourself.
Sorry, just trying to unmute myself. I was like, oh my goodness. Thank you so very much for having me and being part of this panel. So I am Johanna Edmondson, the founder of the Female Fight Club. It's a non-profit organization. It's located in the Bronx. Now, something about special about the Female Fight Club is it is for women only. It is all about investing in women's health, physical, emotional, and mental. Something also that we do at the Female Fight Club is talk about topics that matter to women, like breast cancer awareness. We do walks about that. We also have nutrition classes, self-defense classes, menopause classes, fibroid screening. We also have events that we host there to promote so many other things at the Female Fight Club. And again, topics that matter to women is our main thing. Now, also, I wanted to mention that I'm also a community leader in my district. I love to participate and bring people together. Something that I did recently, actually this Sunday on Women's Day, there was a wall that really needed TLC. It was filled with graffiti, and I was really passionate about this project. And I got some cans myself. I bought them at Benjamin Moore and got some rollers, and we started painting that wall, and we swept the floor. And again, it didn't take much. It was just our community coming together to care for one another. One more thing that I also wanted to share is that I was part of the renaming of a community leader that we had here, a trailblazer, Betty Lloyd. She was a business owner. Again, her cake is worldwide. When she passed away during the pandemic, I was heartbroken, and I wanted to make sure that her legacy will live on. So I got the community also involved there. I got some letters from our organizations in the community, and we got the street renaming 2 years later, because it does take time, but I got that done as well too. And again, this is just some of the passionate things that I do. On top of that, I like to also bring people together, and women, of course, and making sure that they're safe, that they are empowered, that they feel that they can stand tall, and anything that they feel passionate about. I also do many block parties in my neighborhood to bring businesses, residents, and feel that our community is actually also very safe. Because when you know each other, when you know what's happening around our neighborhood, we actually look after each other. So that's just some of the things that I do. I am a mom, I am a wife, and of course, in owning a business, a lot of hats that I wear, but I do it with a lot of passion because I love my community and I love to serve. And I also have two kids that are currently serving in the Air Force right now. One is currently up right now in South Dakota, and my daughter leaving to California. But they're all both Air Force, and my husband is also not enlisted, but he is also he served. He's a veteran right now. So a little bit about myself and things that I've done and that I'm passionate about, and that is all about community and investing in women's health. Is investing in our future.
Thank you so much, Joanna. Next, Carmen Reyes of Wisdom Develops.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes,
Yes.
Carmen.
All right, you can hear me and you can see me?
Yes, we hear you and see you.
Perfect.
It's just
Hi,
a little
everyone.
intro about you.
Beautiful. Yes, yes. Technology was just trying to not cooperate, but it is what it is.
Always.
So yes, my name is Carmen Reyes Lefevre. I am the founder of Wisdom Develops, and it's a nonprofit to support mothers in reconnecting with themselves. I was a teen mom. By the time I was 23, I had three children. I was in college. Life was happening, was kicking my ass, and I had to do what I had to do. I also am a consultant I consult for a national nonprofit that supports mothers in getting back to college. And a lot of the work that I do is in supporting mothers in finding their truth, aligning with their truth, getting a good sense of who they are and what they want for their lives and their families' lives. And what else? I do a lot of other stuff. My wife and I live in Queens, New York. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee right now. So it's just like wherever I'm needed, that's where I'm at. And I think and I'm a grandma to baby Toby, who's 7 months old. He's adorable. And
Really.
yes, and just thank you to each one of you that's on the call today or in this session. I cannot wait to share, listen to some of the other panelists, and to just share.
Thank you,
And thank you for
Carmen.
having me. I'm so excited.
Of course. Thank you for being here. Next we have Deborah from Hearts of Gold. Do we have Deborah on? Okay, let's see what happens with Deborah. Um, Next we have Tiffany Turner from Souls for Soul. Oh, Deborah, here we go.
Hi, can you hear me and see me now?
Yes, yes.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. My name is Deborah Königsberger. I'm honored to be here with you guys this evening. I am the founder of a nonprofit in New York City called Hearts of Gold. started 32 years ago that helps to support homeless women and their children as they navigate the shelter system and to help them get out of shelters and back on their feet and support them along the way, both while they're in shelter and once they exit the system. Um, Hearts of Gold, basically, our mission is just to acknowledge the women, meet them where they are, and help them get to the next point. I'm in fashion. I have a women's French themed clothing boutique. I'm actually in Paris right now at Fashion Week, so it's midnight. So hi, it's good night,
Oh, nice.
bonsoir. And here I come twice a year to buy, but um, my boutique I opened in 1989, so I've been on in the Nomad Flatiron District for 37 years. That's also where I started a nonprofit, and I have also a thrift vintage store that the purpose of the store is to support the charity. And also, my stores serve as job training programs for moms and adult children coming out of the shelter system to help them build a resume and get on their feet. I am on the board of the Manhattan Chamber of Commerce for over 25 years. I am very much a community activist. I am on the board of the Flatiron Nomad Bid. I sleep 2 hours a night because I have 17 jobs. I'm a quintessential immigrant. I was born in Jamaica, came here as a child, grew up in the Bronx, went to NYU, moved to the city senior year, and have not left. I speak 4 languages. I have two wonderful sons who are 31 and 33. I have a beautiful, kind, helpful, supportive husband. And I love the impact that we have on the demographic that we serve. So we just passed last year, we surpassed 40,000 moms and kids helped by the work that Hearts of Gold does. And, it started with one. So I'm really happy to be a part of this conversation because hopefully out there, anyone that's thinking that they can't and is hearing this can understand that they can. Not only can they, but they can have really solid impact. And just by doing something that you love, you know.
Agreed.
Thank you,
Thank
you
you
ladies.
so
You do an amazing job. The pop-up care is taking care of us, and we're going to take care of you guys in return.
Thank you so much, Deborah. And last but not least, Tiffany from Soul for Souls.
Hi there. Thank y'all so much for having me tonight. My name is Tiffany Turner. I'm based in Nashville, Tennessee, where I serve the global nonprofit Souls for Souls as their vice president of outreach. And my job simply is providing shoes and clothing to people who need those items anywhere in the world, even right here in the United States. I'm part of a team of about 85 team members. I have a team of two amazing young women who work with me day in and day out, and I've been fortunate to be a part of this work for the last 14 years. Souls for Souls is celebrating our 20th anniversary this year, and we're really excited to step forward into this next year, next 20 years, and I'm just glad to be here tonight. I'm here by way of partnering with the pop-up care shop several years ago to provide shoes for some of their programs in the New York City area. So thank y'all so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. Tiffany's amazing. All these women are amazing, and I cannot wait to get into the discussion. So let's just kick this off. Who is a woman, past or present, that has deeply influenced your journey and why? Anyone can answer, but I'll start off with Carmen.
So we limited it just to one.
I know it's hard, difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna limit to one. So I'm gonna say my second and third grade teacher, Janet Gonzalez.
Mhm.
She was visually this like thin woman, just very big curly hair, soft and gentle. And I love that approach, just very nurturing and loving. And I once did something like I was like making fun of one of my one of my classmates, and she comes up to me eye level and calls me out on my shit. At that age, she really calls me out and really asked me, is this the kind of person that you want to be in the world? So for me, that really laid a foundation for me about the kind of human being that I want to be in the world, where I can move through life being gentle and loving and caring and holding people accountable at the same time. And I don't have to be nasty and I don't have to be in control. It's just like no, what are we doing? So she really did inspire me to be the woman that I've kind of like molded over the years.
I love that. How about Deborah?
Absolutely, my mom. My mom was the strongest person I know to date, still. She never preached.
Mhm.
She came from a family that didn't have much as far as material things, but I've come to learn that what she had was what she needed, which was just support, family, and love. And that's what she gave to my brother and myself. And she never accepted that you couldn't do something.
Mhm.
So she would say, well, how are you gonna resolve that? You got to find a way to do it, right? So the idea that, when doors close, windows open, and when windows, close, then you've got to find another way in, find a crack under somewhere to get in because she never said that failure was an option. Failure was not an option, right? You just had to find a way to do things. And I think that made me just never lean on anything. It never made me want to go, I don't know what to do here. Combined with my dad, who was such a doer in our community. But my mom, she brought everybody home. She gathered everybody. She was the glue board that held all the family together. And she meant business. And she worked harder than anybody that I've known in my whole life. And she just basically believed that you could do whatever you wanted to do and you could be whatever you wanted to be. And that sounds kind of trite, but it's not. It actually made me understand that, if I wanted something, I should work for it. And I've proven that if you work for it, you end up getting it. So I'm super grateful to my mom. May she rest in peace always. I lost her at a really young age, but her lessons stayed with me. And I sit here today, the person I am, and the work that I do, thanks to her love and her support, and just her not letting me ever find a way to weasel out of anything.
Oh, it's amazing. And we're grateful for her too, for creating a woman like you, Deborah.
Thank you.
Tiffany, how about you, Tiffany?
So I have three I'll talk about, just but they're all connected.
Mhm.
I started thinking about this yesterday too, just female influences in my life, and I think it's really interesting sometimes how people come along for a season, and some
Mhm.
people stay for quite some time, and I think there's very specific purpose in both of those. But my three of my dearest friends are based on the West Coast. I have Jenny in Napa, California, Brianna in Angwin, California, and Stephanie in Boise, Idaho. We all connected about 12 years ago through a global experiences trip with Souls for Souls to Honduras.
Mhm.
Jenny brought her son Max, who was 14 at the time, then persuaded her friend Stephanie to come on a trip with her, then brought in Brianna because she's a professional photographer. Stephanie teaches kindergarten. Jenny is now an executive director of a nonprofit, and Brianna is a full-time photographer. And these three women have just taught me so much about friendship, about fully supporting one another and creating a safe space. And they are all very much into very challenging hiking experiences. And they call me glossy granola. So I can take but so much of it. But one of my dreams was to climb a 12,000-foot volcano in Guatemala to celebrate my 50th birthday, which was in December. And all four of us climbed that in January. And I was like, this is what really true female friendship and finding your tribe is when three people will come to Central America and they'll
Mhm.
climb that volcano with you and spend the night up there. And
Wow.
they've just taught me so much about, I think, too, about just really, it's okay to be vulnerable in the right space and
Mhm.
about championing each other. And I'm just very grateful for them and grateful that they're still my friends when we got to the top and the bottom of that volcano.
Oh yeah, I feel like that's like solidified. We're friends for life at that point. It's amazing. Johanna, how about you? Oh, you're on mute.
Okay, sorry.
There she goes.
Can you hear me? I
Yes.
have a long list. I have a really long list because every time I go out there to speak or to do presentations, I always bring them all with me, their
Mhm.
spirits. And I must say, my mom, first of all, my mom
Mhm.
is a businesswoman herself, and she's taught me all I know today: how to raise
Mhm.
my family, how to be a businesswoman, how to, again, navigate through life. So, my mom is number one.
Mhm.
But the other ones are not here today,
Mhm.
and that is Maya Angelou. She's a poet and activist. Again, she is just amazing, and every time she speaks and I read her poems, they always resonate to me. One of them is like, I know what the caged bird sings of freedom. And that one, it just, again, it just resonates for me every time I really connect with it so much. Rosa
Mhm.
Parks, she is another one, another powerhouse. I always feel again that that would have been me as a little girl. I would have not gotten up that bus. I would
Mhm.
have sat there. I am tired and I'm going to get arrested. So I am just that type of woman. And I always say, and it's in our fight club, it says, is it a well-behaved women don't make history. So
Mhm.
that's something to always think about and keep that in mind. And of course, I'm going to mention Catherine Twitzer. She is a marathon runner, the first Boston Marathon runner. I bring her with me because I ran my first marathon recently,
Oh,
and I
wow.
thought about her. I thought about her because, she was, they were forcing her off the track because she was a woman. And something they told her, it's actually all documented. By the way, it was a coach that was pulling her off the track. They told her, and women actually, that if they ran, their ovaries were gonna fall off.
Wow.
And I was like, unbelievable, the things they made up so women don't participate in sports. So that is another one that actually always resonates to me because I'm all about women's sports, the physical, the emotional component. So that's Catherine Twizer. And of course, and one of our champions is Michelle Obama. When
Mhm.
they go low, we go high. And
Mhm.
I've had so many trials and tribulations, but I always stay focused into the bigger picture and that things are going to always work out. You may have those moments. Again, owning a business, especially a woman in a women's gym, there was a lot of challenges because a lot of people thought that there was no way that I can succeed because it's a women only, right?
Mhm.
When this industry is dominated by men. 70% of men own gyms and 29% of women own gyms. And when it comes to women only, the numbers even dwindle into the single digits. So asking banks for loans, having
Mhm.
friends, they all were looking at me like I had three heads. Like, you're gonna open a gym? How are you going to do that? But guess what? It got done. And here I am talking about this 6 years later that the Female Fight Club successfully has opened its doors to many women and has gone beyond serving the five boroughs. So, yes, these are the women that to me, I always bring with me when I am doing any presentation because they elevate me and empower me to, again, be my best version of myself.
I love that. And I think everyone that's watching this now have found four other women to find inspiring. You, at least for me, like I am deeply inspired by all of you. And I think the thing that really drives me is the leadership about it. Every woman that you've mentioned, whether it was like at home or in public in a space, it's all about leading with just inspiration, with care, with purpose. So I want to ask you all, anyone can jump in, like how do you define leadership? And can you define a moment that inspired you to become a leader?
I'll speak.
Yeah.
Um, well, it happened, I would say, during the pandemic. Um, the parks were actually not getting a lot of funding. The numbers were very low in terms of like trying to get the cleanups. So I stepped up. I took action. I got friends and family to volunteer to clean the park. I would say like twice a month we would be out there, picking garbage. The parks actually were in so much use at that time because that's all we had. That's where people congregated. They
Mhm.
celebrated birthdays. They met there together to play sports. So there was a lot of garbage that was left behind. So that's basically when I stood up and took that leadership, I guess, stand to help out my community and to clean the park. And it was very simple. But again, it's just taking action. That really, to me, really taught me what leadership is about at that moment.
I can jump in next. So for me, leadership means capacity building specifically. And for me, an experience was in 2017, my twin sister passed away tragically, and she left behind three children, minor children. One of them was already a mom. And I had my own three children going through a divorce at the time, starting graduate school. And life was just happening unapologetically. And I had to do what I had to do, but I realized that no matter what I was going through myself, those around me were also going through something, through their own challenges. And I've been grateful and fortunate enough that I've done the work with myself through therapy, whatever it was, to develop myself. But those around me, for whatever reason, may not have had those experiences. So now I really allowed myself and I was kind of guided with my higher power to step
Mhm.
into my leadership, for my nieces, for my children, and building their capacity as leaders, because it's not about me leading them, but rather about sharing the skills, the tools, the conversations, listening to what it is that they care about versus what society
Mhm.
wants of them, creating spaces and opportunities for them to develop a sense of self so that they can start creating their own lives and being accountable for their lives.
Mhm.
And even for my mom is 70-ish. She's in that mid beautiful stage in her plus 70s. And seeing how sharing the skills that I've gained. She gave whatever skills she gave to me as I was growing up, but now I had a set of skills that I can now share with her for her life, regardless of what she was going through. So for me, that's what leadership has meant. It has meant capacity building. It has meant sharing skills, for people to give, right? To give to them so
Right.
that they can go do the amazing stuffness that they're doing in their life.
Exactly. Tiffany, I saw that you were going to say something.
Yeah. I had the privilege of several years ago having a coach for about 2 months in my journey at Souls for Souls as I transitioned into more a leadership role. And, you know, in some ways, leadership can be really lonely
Mhm.
when you get to a certain place because there's only so many people who understand what leading is like, and you have to maintain boundaries, and you really set the tone and the energy too for those who are looking to you, whether you know they are or not, um, of how things go and how you lead is a lot of the energy you bring into the space you're in. Um, but one of the most valuable things that I learned the time with a coach was just pausing to make decisions.
Yeah.
And I'm not somebody that pauses really well. And it's just been so valuable the past few years is to take the pause and think through things before you react, before you implement. Um, to also, another thing that I've learned, and I'm still learning really, is delegating and giving people the autonomy to carry out something and make a mistake, just like we've all made the mistake, you know?
Mhm.
And I think from that, I've also gotten a lot of joy in watching colleagues and team members, whether I'm directly or indirectly leading them, chart their own course, and make that path. And the last thing I'd say about it is just being able to, I've sat underneath some really incredible people. I went to lunch with a woman about a year ago, and I just said, I just want to talk to you about leadership. And some of the advice she gave me was just some of the most simple. She said, always be fair, firm, and friendly.
Mhm.
And she was like, push people just a little bit further than they think they can go. And she was like, and put people in your world that are smarter than you and that know more than you. And I've realized, I mean, I have I have that in spades, and I'm often just really humbled and amazed to see the people that I get the opportunity to work with, some of the things they think up, some of the things they implement, how their mind works around strategy and problem solving. And it's become now a joy, really, to
Mhm.
go to them with certain scenarios and go, what do you think we should do here? Not not to test, but to really, I want to pick their brains. I want to dig the gold that's in there and get all the good stuff out. So, um, and I think leading is a lot of how you follow. I mean, can you follow? You know, we
Yes.
all have to be humble and know that, you know, we're not in charge of everything. Um,
Mm-mm.
and that's a lesson we all learn every day.
I agree. I especially the part like working with people smarter than you. Absolutely. Because you can't be strong in every area, you know? Deborah, do you have anything to add to this?
I do. So I think that leadership for me has meant um, listening a lot
Hmm.
because in listening, I've learned to lead. And it's basically been like listening to the needs of people. I think that if you hear where someone is and what they need, then you're able to lead them to a place that, that can help them solve this problem, fill this need. And for me, it's I work with a lot of young people, and I know that I have a responsibility to them to um, set a bar
Hmm.
and to help them get to that place. So, I always tell them that, listen, I communicate very clearly because I want you to succeed. I don't want to see you fail. So I'm listen well because I'm going to explain it to you
Hmm.
in a way that's meant for you to be successful. And very, very recently, just a couple of days ago, my younger son really said something to me that was just so profound. But he said, I have two boys, and my younger son was always the one who, kind of had the challenges, kind of had the struggles. And I always, just like my mom had told me, said, listen, there's only one way out of this, right? You've got to find that open space. You've got to find that crack under the door. You're able to do it. And he said to me recently when he got his absolute dream job after going through some trials and just some spaces, and he said, um, thank you for setting the bar so high because it made me reach. And I think for me, that was it. That was my moment. I could have laid down and I would have been fine to go home at that point,
Hmm.
because at the time when you're doing this with people and you are leading and you think that you are really being considerate of what people need, but you realize that you have to also be firm. I like that whole idea of like firm,
Hmm.
fair, and friendly. I always said, the world is not going to coddle you. So I need to prepare you to be that person who doesn't need coddling, right? So
Hmm.
you're going to be able to figure some stuff out yourself. And when you need that help, there will be someone there. But in doing that, I realize a lot of young people come back to me and they tell me, oh, Miss Deb, remember when you said blah blah blah, and I thought I couldn't, and look at me now. And so for me, leadership has meant being mindful of how you lead because people are listening, they're hearing, and they're following. And
Hmm.
so where are you leading them to? And
Right.
I have to say that my son's comment was one of my proudest moments. But I also get that feedback from the moms in the shelter who, you see them and they make it and they say, thank you for believing in me and for telling me I could when I didn't think I could.
I love that. I think with that, what I'm hearing about the leadership is a lot of giving time, your knowledge, your resources, your care, advice. One thing that I was really inspired by, Tiffany, I believe you volunteered first with Soul for Souls before you worked there. So just even giving your time, Soul for Souls is now 20 years. They're in a 20-year anniversary, and you are leading some initiatives throughout the year. But I wanted to hear from all of you, or anyone who resonates with this question. But like, is there a time that just giving even something as your volunteer time, giving your care, anything, as women, we give so much, that created so much impact or change in your life or other people's life?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I had a mom who I met in
Oh,
the shelter when oh, sorry, Deborah.
go ahead.
Yeah, okay, sorry. I met a mom in the shelter when she was just about 20 something years old. She had a 5-year-old daughter,
Mhm.
and she was coming out of a really bad domestic violence situation. She and her daughter were, they were just not in a good place. But I kind of took her under my wing. She was pregnant, she had another child. Um, when she went to the hospital to have the baby, the little boy, uh, her daughter, her then daughter, came and stayed with me at my apartment with my family. And that baby, when he left the hospital with her, came to my apartment first to my bed. And I looked at that little baby on my bed and I thought, this is a responsibility that I'm going to carry. Cut to 2 years ago, I took that baby, 18 years old, to college and set him up in school and took him to the Walmart out in Iowa, just like I did for my boys when they went off to college. And, did all of the things, bought all the things, made his bed, helped him get his room set up.
Mhm.
I think that for me, that boy, and now he's changed colleges and he's changed majors, but he's also broken that miserable cycle for his family because he's the
Mhm.
first person in his family to go to college and he's
Mhm.
doing so well. And, I just know that, and he'll tell me, he calls me Aunt Deb. He goes, Auntie Deb, he calls me with all the news. I got this test back. I got this. I got that. And it's just, being in someone's life where you matter because they know they can count on you, they know that you're rooting for them, they know that what they do matter. I always say, you know, everybody needs somebody to disappoint, not to be
Mhm.
mad at you, but to disappoint. I think that trumps everything, disappointment. And so I always say, don't disappoint, because if you disappoint me, you'll disappoint yourself.
Mhm.
So I think that, for me, that's one example of, a real moment where I, among the moments, but that one really stands out.
Tiffany?
um, before I even get into a scenario, I'll just say I've really seen this over my lifetime that you can never give like and come back empty, you know?
Mhm.
I think sometimes giving, whether it is your resources or your time, people are scared. We're protective of our time, we're protective of our resources, especially when there are seasons where we might not have as much. And I was really blessed as, when I grew up, my mom was a single mom and we had relatives and we had family friends who just really poured into my life and made sure that I had the resources I need to thrive. And my husband and I don't have any children, but we've found ourselves like, even in what we would call the little moments, like if there's an opportunity at our church to give back, whether we're donating materials or donating finances for back to school or the angel tree at Christmas. I think being open to those things, not everybody, and people might go, well, I can't afford to do this and this, but I think when you also think about how you're giving of your treasures and your resources, that with the mindset of if that was my child, what would I want them to have? And I can truly say this, that I've never been without. if anything, when I've made a sacrifice to give of a resource or finances that I had, it always came back to me. And your time, our time and our service is just as valuable, but I think it is important, especially with all of us, working in some sort of nonprofit sector, to remember that we also need the gifts of resources and finances. And, I'll say it too, as easily as give up Starbucks for a couple of days and put that towards something else. And what organizations can do with just a little bit of our treasures. So for me, I think I've seen not in the and my method and my motivation was not what I could get back, but I've always been blown away at what's come my way when I made the choice to give of my resources and my finances. And it's really, really just stayed with me, and it's a part of my life now.
I love that. And I feel like when we give to someone else, you're giving them an opportunity to just continue that energy.
Yeah.
Like every single one of us was given something. I always believe that we are only as great or as privileged as the privileges that were like bestowed upon us.
Yeah.
I've seen people that will start in the same position, but if someone just was nurtured a bit more, they have a different outcome. And I think throughout life, it's not just, obviously our childhood, we need to be nurtured, but we get nurtured throughout our whole lifetime. And I think it's just the impact that other people leave on us. So I know we're going to open up to Q&A with the our attendees soon. So I just want to ask before we move on there. As we leave this space, Give to Gain is our theme, the theme of International Women's History Month. How do you how do you think we should all hold ourselves accountable to that and uplift other women as well? Joanna, I'll start with you.
Oh, sorry. How to uplift other women? Be there for them. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, be there for them. Listen. I know there was one of the panelists, Deborah, that mentioned about listening. I have a quote to that. That it goes with, are you listening or are you waiting to talk? We're always trying to just, when someone's talking to you, they're telling you something, they're sharing something, listen to them. It's just so important. But in that note, I also wanted to go back into when you're giving and accepting nothing in return. For years, I just really was just volunteering for FFC and not knowing that FFC was actually going to be created. It was just an idea at the time. But my volunteer time that I gave really was, how it was how where FFC was created. But I think that's just one point to mention about the giving and our gains. But yeah, that is my advice to women. Again, it's just be there for each other, listen to each other, um, and I guess that's where I want to leave it. Just be there and listen to each other.
Carmen
Um,
or Deborah? Yeah, Deborah.
So I guess I'll pick up from the listening piece of listening to women's hearts, because one of the things that I know about women is that we get shit done. We get it done, whatever it is. And through just my experiences working with mothers in different capacities, different ages and stages of their lives, career wise, families, is that there's so much that is unsaid, so much that is felt, that doesn't always have a space to breathe and to be expressed. So for me, listening to women's hearts and their voices, how they wanted to be heard, not how I want to hear it, um, and letting them, I think it was Tiffany who mentioned the autonomy. What you need? Do you want me to just listen, or do you want me to listen and we're gonna make something happen with that? Because I'm like, put me in, coach. Whatever you want, we doing it. So that would be my piece. Just listening to their hearts and giving them the space to.
Deborah.
I will follow up by saying that I think that when you give, you automatically gain. And I always come back to the question of when did we learn to be so selfish? Because when did we learn to stop giving and caring? Because when you do that, everybody wins. Society wins. If when we lift one, we lift all. And it's one of those things that people say, but when you're actually doing it and you see it happen, it's it's mind-blowingly wonderful. I think that when I started volunteering, also I volunteered before I started my nonprofit, and I had no idea how rich my life would become because I gave of my time, my treasure, my talent. And those three things, every charity, every single one survives only if you have those three things in place: time, treasure, talent, the three T's. I've found that giving time is a treasure, and your talents is your time. It's what you have, it's who you are, it's what you bring to the table, and it's what you bring to the people you are serving. Um, it's really wonderful to sit and talk to women about, like this is an amazing forum because women are sometimes afraid of other women. They don't understand like true friendship. And they think that, I've got mine, good luck getting yours is the way to go. But if you pay attention, you learn that men get ahead because they take each other with them. That's why men, they bond and they go for that thing together. We can have a tendency as women to say, you know what, I had to work really hard to get here. I'm wishing you good luck, but I got to go. And I think that this is an example, and I hope that it's serving as an example for whomever, as you watch and you hear these messages, it's like take one with you, lift one as you go. If you do that, and when you do that, your rewards will be great.
Love that. Tiffany, any final words on this?
The only thing I'd say, because Deborah, you just opened up, like I was like, what a great segue. Is there's plenty of room at the table.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
That's the thing. Women, we're all so different. I mean, you have so many different personalities just right now in this panel, probably how we go about everything, but there's a beauty in that because it's a puzzle. It all fits together. And there's room for everyone at the table. So pull out your chair and let someone sit next to you, because Deborah, you hit the nail on the head. Like, there's so much to celebrate, and going alone won't help, going together.
Yeah.
You're going to get a lot more done. So I think, that just was exactly what needed to be said. Yeah. So
I will
come
also
sit with
say,
me.
I'll also say to Tiffany's point that it is a puzzle, but every single piece is there. There's no piece missing. When
Yep.
you open the box, it's all going to fit together. You won't
Mm,
get halfway through and find out that, a piece in the middle is missing. All of those pieces will go together. And that's what women, we have so much that we can share with each other. And we should be brave enough to take the step.
Yes.
I,
And confidence is key.
mm,
Confidence is
absolutely.
key. Trust their abilities and their experiences, and don't let self-doubt
Yeah,
hold them back. That's important. Sometimes we have all that negative thoughts in our minds, and they really just prevent us from moving forward. And surround yourself with positive influences, positive people. That also does help.
absolutely. And like just adding on to that, listening to women, listening to yourself, listening to the first woman that you see in the morning, yourself. I'm going to pass it along now to Angela, our team volunteer. She has some Q&A from the audience, and I'll let her lead that.
Hey, oh my goodness. First of all, just what an inspiring panel. All of you have had I've written several quotes, something from each of you where I'm like, it's good. So good. So thank you so much for being here. One of our questions in the Q&A is for Deborah. Said, thank you for the work you do. I'm so glad to hear about your program. I worked for years housing homeless veterans, and your work would have been so key to the female homeless veterans I worked with. I now work with young mothers finishing high school, and many are often in shelter. How can I connect them to your program? She's having problems with the link on your website, but she would love to learn how to work more with Hearts of Gold.
Well, here is what I will give you an email address. I'm sorry about the link. And that is dkassistant at heartsofgold.org. DKassistant at heartsofgold.org. And that's my executive assistant. And you can get through to her and she'll connect us so that we can speak about this online. I'm happy to help in any capacity that I can. And yeah,
I think I
so I look
spelled it
forward to
right. I
hearing
put it in
from
the
you.
chat for you.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Same person gave you a big shout out, Carmen, not a question, but just said that she's so proud of you and um from working together to now running your own business, taking your vision and making it reality. So grateful to know you. Keep shining, girl. That's just so sweet.
Mhm.
Um, okay, was there ever a time you felt like giving up or actually did give up? That's a good question.
Can I answer that? I'll jump into that one.
Yeah, yeah.
So who I just want to just acknowledge the person who asked the question. Who was that, Angela, that asked the
This
question?
question was from Cash.
Cash. So yes, as I shared earlier, my twin sister passed away a couple of years ago, and at that time, there was a point that I did want to give up, and I felt that I no longer wanted to be here. And there was in a moment for me that nothing really made sense. Like thinking about my children didn't change my mind. Thinking about work didn't change my mind. Thinking about the work itself didn't make a difference for me. And I had to really that moment required me to go deep, like into the depth of my soul, a place that I don't think I've ever been to, and kind of pull myself and hold myself. I believe in God, in spirit, in universe, and higher power. There is a life force and life source within myself. I'm going to speak for myself, and I had to. I really got connected to that source and to my higher power. So I did want to give up because to my brain, I'm also bipolar. I was diagnosed with bipolar 2. I'm on medication now, thank God. God knows I needed that. And it works for me. So in that moment, and my brain was at capacity. My brain felt like it couldn't hold on to anything else. No more breakdowns, no more people in the hospital, no more people dying, no more kids. I had 6 kids at once. It's like my brain felt like it couldn't hold on to anything else. And I had a moment where I really got connected to that strength that lives inside of me. And then I had to, it forced me to go outside of myself because I alone couldn't do it. I couldn't take care of 6 kids and grad school and my mom who had an open heart surgery and a new relationship and everything that was going on. Like I alone could not do it. So it forced me to get reconnected with other individuals in my life.
I love that. Any of the other panelists have a time where you felt like giving up?
Yep, I will jump in. There's a
Yeah.
saying in the nonprofit world that no good deed goes unpunished. And sometimes you get up on that day and it just seems like everything wants to go south. And I think that it happens for a reason. And whenever it happens, I acknowledge it that it's happening. I think that's one of the important things to do is kind of go, okay, there's something wrong here. Um, But then I immediately go to that place where my mom took me, where it's like, okay, but I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure this out. And even in that place of figuring it out, you just feel like sometimes you're being beaten to death, like somebody's just clobbering you while you do this work. And again, if you believe in something, which I do, I have faith and I believe in that higher power, and I know that I'm meant to do this work because every time I think, about that no good deed goes unpunished thing, something very special and almost miraculous happens every time. And it makes me back up and go. I often talk to God. I'm like, okay, I didn't mean it. I hear you. I see you. I'm going. And I just put one foot in front of the other And some days that's all you can do. Some days you just don't have to figure out the whole thing. Some days it's just like, let me take this one step and step away and give my brain a moment to um, process what's happening because I'm going to come out the other side with an answer. So I think for all of the things that happen in your life and in the world that are worthy, that are good, anything good that happens, trust me that something led that person there. And it wasn't always easy, and it wasn't always clear what the steps were to take. But resilience is something I think about all the time. And I always think that there is a way, there is a way. And just take a minute and think about it. You'll find that way.
Um,
So give up, folks.
I like to share that I was a preschool teacher prior to opening FFC, and I was a teacher for 20 years. And that was a time where I actually quit. I decided to just change my entire career and volunteer my time to serve women. Um, Now, it was the best decision I could have made in my life because after 20 years working with children, I wanted to do something for me, something that really was just going to change the direction of my life. And I wanted to just care for myself and care and that actually led to caring for other women, understanding that I was a caregiver and that I'm constantly giving and giving. And I was really taking my health for granted, which led again, being a preschool teacher, to so many illnesses like depression, anxiety, um, just again, chronic asthma attacks I was getting. And it led to, again, making that decision to just really completely quit my job and start something completely new, that has been the best decision I've could have made. But yes, in that question, that's where I kind of like it takes me to that moment when I was a preschool teacher.
So sometimes it's not giving up, it's finding a new path.
Mhm.
Right.
Um, so I have one more question that's going to be for each of you, and we'll start with Tiffany. What does your organization have coming up that are ways people can support you or things you might want to shout out? I know we put the links in the chat, but is there anything you want to share about Souls for Souls?
Yeah. Um, this is our 20th year as an organization, as a 501(c)(3). And in 20 years, we've distributed over 113 million units of shoes and clothing in 138 countries. So we'll be celebrating throughout the year with different events and different ways that you can connect with us. But we do have an amazing way that you can support programming that we do in the United States around our children who are experiencing homelessness. We have a program called For Every Kid, and we provide brand new brand name sneakers and socks to children. We do that through school district partnerships, through nonprofit partnerships. In the last 5.5 years, we've served over 530,000 children in every state in the United States. In May, you can sign up for the Race for Every Kid. It's a virtual run, walk, bike, virtual fundraiser that lasts all month long. You can find information about it on Souls for Souls and raise money to support For Every Kid. And for $20 per child, we can provide them with a brand new pair of sneakers. And my team and I have the amazing privilege of leading partnerships and programming for Every Kid, and it's really changed my life, working with these amazing people that are in the front lines working with children and making sure that barriers are removed so that they have all the experiences and potential that life has to offer. But that's a way that you can get involved with us. And right now, coming up in the spring, you can also really easily, if you want to support Souls for Souls, is go in your closet and clean out your closet and donate gently worn shoes to us. There's retailers and collection points all around the United States, and that's a great way to give back to you. Those shoes go into emerging markets in around the world to support entrepreneurs who resell them. And most of our entrepreneurs are women. And it keeps shoes out of landfills. So
Even
that's
better.
a little bit about us and how you can help us.
I love that. Thank you. All right, Johanna, I'm going to turn it over to you. And I don't think it's been mentioned on the webinar yet, but I do want to mention that you're being honored by your borough coming up. So that's something. But what are some other things that you're working on or ways that we can support you?
Well, something that I mentioned is that we do support topics that matter to women. One that's coming up is eating disorders. It's a workshop that we're going to be having. And again, all our workshops are totally free. You can sign up through the Eventbrite link. You can sign up through our portal, which is Vigaro, and have those that opportunity to, again, share and again, educate yourself, bringing awareness to topics like this. I think is very important, especially for our teenagers. They are struggling with their body image, and again, being bombarded by social media. So again, that's one of our topics that are coming up, and many others that we do throughout the year. Menopause, and of course, in October we have our breast cancer walk, nutrition classes, and we do have self defense classes as well. And again, these are totally free to anyone. Has to be a woman to participate.
Well, congrats again on that honor by the borough president. Is it the president?
It's the Bronx Borough President, Vanessa
Okay.
Gibson, is going to be honoring, yes, the Female Fight Club. And I'm really excited about that because she's the first woman Bronx Borough President. And again, she's just breaking glass ceilings, and God only knows from here where she's going. So we're very happy that we're being honored by her.
That's amazing. Congrats. That's a huge milestone. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Carmen, I'm going to turn it over to you next.
Perfect. All right. So for Wisdom Develops, we have monthly support calls for moms, and it's held virtually. This month is going to be on March 22nd, which is a Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And I'm going to actually drop my phone number and my email if you're interested in getting more information. In April, there will be, the topic for March will be stress versus dysregulation, emotional dysregulation. And in April, we're going to go deeper into that conversation. So the support call is just discussing what is that like for us? Can we tell the difference between stress and being dysregulated? And then in March, we're going to dive deeper into what does that mean? How do we identify in our bodies? What tools can we put in place? And then in those conversations, mothers share resources with each other, which is, I think it's kind of this conversation that we're having now is how do we give to others?
That's amazing. And so much stuff that people are not taught growing up, resources that are so needed. All right, Deborah, last but not least.
Hey guys, thank you for the opportunity to share. So, I am also being honored for Women's Month by Council Member um, Virginia Maloney. It's going to be at City Hall on March 30th. And for the work of Hearts of Gold and the support in the community for over 32 years. That's exciting because it's when politicians become aware of the work that regular citizens are doing, and when they take an interest in that, they start to think more about the laws that they implement and how those laws affect people. So that for me is really exciting. And I have for Hearts of Gold, we have a thrift store, as I mentioned earlier. It's called TTH Vintage Boutique on West 25th Street in Manhattan. And we use it as a job training program for moms and adult kids. Because we're also thrifts, we're all about sustainability. We have on the 21st and the 22nd our fifth annual fashion and philanthropy event. It's 2 days of panel discussions, fashion shows. We will be having Soledad O'Brien, who is actually the Goodwill Ambassador for Hearts of Gold. She will be moderating the panel discussion this year. We have incredible panelists who will talk about sustainability and how we can help Mother Earth that we've, that we've kind of abused over time. And it will be two fun-filled days. lots of great things happen, lots of prizes, lots of fun. But those are on the 22nd and the 21st. And our website is heartsofgold.org. So please go there because you can get information, you can find out about tickets, and you can find out about volunteer opportunities that will come up during the year with our organization. And so thank you to anyone who is, showing interest. That's where you can go to find us and find out what else is going on. Lots coming up.
Amazing. This has, again, been so inspiring. I'm going to turn it back over to Kaidi for a few closing remarks. And again, thank you all for the evening.
Thanks for having us. Amazing.
Wow, wow, wow. I am truly blown away by this conversation. To our incredible panelists, Carmen, Johanna, Deborah, and Tiffany, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your transparency, for sharing your wisdom, for sharing your stories, for just being leaders. Thank you for being with us tonight. Conversations like this remind us that the journeys of women leaders are not always easy, but they are very powerful, they are very purposeful, and deeply impactful. We're grateful for the work each of you are doing in your communities and the examples you continue to set for others. Thank y'all so, so much. To everyone who joined us tonight, thank you for being part of our community and for supporting the work of the Pop-Up Care Shop. We have some exciting upcoming events, clothing drives, and fundraising initiatives that will allow you to stay connected with us. This is our 10-year anniversary, so we are celebrating. So the first thing we want you to do is join our mailing list. We also want you to consider making a contribution to our fundraiser. We are trying to raise $10,000 this year. So what that means is if 100 people donated $100, we would meet our goal, but anything works. A dollar works, anything. Um, the chat right now has important links for you as well, for you to stay connected with us. And we also want to encourage you to continue supporting each of our panelists and the incredible organizations they have and the initiatives they are leading. The work they shared with us tonight deserves our attention, our amplification, and our support. So, on behalf of the Pop-Up Care Shop, thank you again for spending your evening with us. We hope you leave feeling inspired, energized, and reminded that when we give generously to one another, we all can gain. Happy International Women's Day, everyone. Have a wonderful evening, and we hope to see you at a future pop-up care shop event or at one of the events of our panelists. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Good night.